went off to serve my country for the United States Air Force. I went to the United States Air Force Academy. I was able to become commissioned as an officer. I was a phenomenal athlete. I had everything going in the right direction for me. I was excelling in athletics, academics, and in my military endeavors. Luckily, I was ranked high enough amongst my classmates that I garnered a spot for flight training. I was all set to deploy, but life had other plans for me. I had an accident on base where I was paralyzed. I woke up about 2 months later, staring at ceiling tiles, not knowing how I got there. All that we knew was I was found with a blanket over top of me, and somebody called in for help, and I was found at some point later on. I didn't know if this was some kind of a test, if they were checking my security clearance, so I thought it was all a game. Everybody kept turning their badges around backwards, asking if I knew who they were, where I was, what was going on, and my military training kicked in, and I told them all I was allowed to give them is name, rank, and date of birth. I remember my grandfather pointing at x-rays on the wall, trying to explain to me that this is me, and they put in all these new metal titanium rods, both in the front and back, and that I'd been in surgery. It was a couple of weeks long. I was in a coma for some time, and none of it seemed like it was making sense. I didn't know at that point that I had any kind of injury. I felt relatively fine regardless of all the wires and tubes in me, and my hands were handcuffed because apparently during my coma I kept trying to break out of this prison that I thought I was in. I quickly realized I was unable to move my legs. I felt like I was taken out of the fight and had no ability to contribute. It's not just walking that you lose. It's your life, your friends, your family. They all have to adjust. That was a soul-crushing experience, being the one that used to be out helping everyone, rescuing people. Now, for the first time, I'm on the other side of that. I was the one that had to ask for help. Now, all of a sudden, there are things I can't do. By looking online, I found out that there was this organization called Dive Heart, and they were hosting a Discover Scuba event, going from somebody with a disability to going back to my roots as a rescue diver. And I went on multiple trips with them, so I got a chance to go diving for a couple of years. I started my journey bridging the gap between engineering and medicine by pursuing a master's in bioinformatics at Harvard. And although it was an uphill battle for any able-bodied person, I also had to rehabilitate in a wheelchair. Maybe I got a shot at this dream of going off to medical school. So I put my applications in to several schools, and I was fortunate enough to have acceptances both abroad and local to where I lived. So in 2012, I was matriculated into the first class at the Cooper Medical School of Rowan University. Patients would, see me in a wheelchair and think, this guy's got problems, he won't judge me, so they'll open up to me completely, whereas some of my classmates were, trying to squeeze water out of a rock, and it just wasn't happening. And on the other hand, I had patients that saw me in a wheelchair and thought, man, I really can't complain because this guy's clearly dealing with something visually, so I don't want to tell him about my condition. And you have to kind of build that rapport and say, hey, look, we're all suffering with something, and I was a patient before the wheelchair. I understand what you're going through. Tell me how it impacts your life, because I know this impacted mine. I was able to give back in a physical sense and put my knowledge to work. So I had a chance to work in operating rooms. Sometimes I would operate in my wheelchair. Sometimes I would go into a standing device where I'm actually at eye level with all of the other surgeons around the table. So here I am in Cozumel, Mexico, to present with a group of doctors from the Mayo Clinic. And here I am working with Dive Heart to provide back to the very same doctors that kept me alive and moving into patient treatment care for people with disabilities. I've always loved the Dive Heart motto of imagine the possibilities, because for me that could not possibly have been any more true. By imagining the possibilities, I was able to set my eyes on a much broader horizon, ascend all these barriers that I thought were impossible, and get to a spot where I can give back, I can travel, I can help others with disabilities, I can teach, I can continue to participate in global activities, scuba diving around the world. I can now give back as somebody with knowledge and experience to help those very same people who are on the same path that I was once on. Thank you, Dive Heart, for allowing me to be part of the team, helping others imagine the possibilities in their lives.